Yo. Trying to figure out what you can see live in this thing. All right. See the shit that's back here. My chapstick. What is up, YouTube Live? I remember what, I think my, HD 1080p. Okay, I was trying to see what exactly the graded definition was when I was advertising this. So 5:47, April 13th, 2020, 30th birthday. I am going to be unboxing my only birthday present that I got, which is I bought for myself, which is Lagavulin 16, which anyone who's a Parks and Rec fan would know the mispronunciation that Ron Swanson says, which is usually Lagavulin, but it's actually Lagavulin, not Lagavulin, which is a bit pedantic, but I recently learned what that was. Pro tip for anyone who's ever, trying to enjoy scotch and isn't just downing it by the bottle, Zach, is get a cup of coffee. So a black cup of coffee will actually clear out the palate and will really help you enjoy the taste and textures for my Rubik's Cube out of the shot. It'll help you absorb the taste and textures of the actual malt scotch. So I have my Maker's Mark glass because it's really the closest thing to a fancy glass that I have right now. Usually you want to drink scotch in shoots so you can really take in the smells, but today I'm just trying to enjoy. The back of the box says, many believe that this is one of the oldest distillery sites in Scotland. In 1816, the local farmer and distiller John Johnson founded the first legal distillery at Lagavulin, pronounced Lagavulin, after the Gaelic Lagan Mulhulan, the hollow where the mill is. The hollow where the mill is. Isn't that some dope shit? Today, the 4 onion-shaped stills at Lagavulin are neatly tucked in a whitewashed jumble of buildings by the Sea of Islay, pronounced Islay, rocky southern shore guarded by imposing ruin of the Dunyon Castle, which is also a subject of my favorite episode of Parks and Rec, which I'm going to watch later because that's usually what I do on my birthday. Is where the distillery is in Scotland. Pungent and potent. This is a great Islay is how it's say it, Islay malt, with rich, peaty, deep, smoky flavors. It is an intense, long, ambrosial finish. This stuff's actually really good. This is my favorite whiskey, notwithstanding its ties to the show Parks and Rec. Age 16 years. It's pretty damn expensive. Not the most expensive. I mean, you can pay as much as you want for something. It's I think it was on sale for $125, but the liquor tax in the state of Washington is really high. I think I paid $30 just in taxes. So it came out to be just close to $160 for one bottle. So let's go ahead and crack this baby open. It's kind of hard to think about the amount of logistics it takes to have something last for 16 years. I mean, it's some serious quality control of something that it's just like with planting trees. I recently was thinking about, there's one thing that I could do in the world nonprofit wise, just help the world. After watching the Amazon burn, I was in the middle of planting trees for my yard. Hey, what up, Skylar? Just starting my unboxing of my Lagavulin, which is the correct pronunciation on how to say that. Is I would like to kind of there's the ocean cleaning company, nonprofit. I'd like to work with like a tree planting, like going to the rainforests in Brazil. And so if I ever become a super, super rich, famous lawyer, as opposed to, thanks, I had to do some lawyerly stuff today. And so I had to actually put a suit on, even though you can only see the top of me. I did get dressed up, just in case, just if you ever have to have an emergency hearing, you should probably have pants on. Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know. I just realized I'd never planted a tree before, which is kind of sad. I felt really sad that I'd never like just dug a hole and planted like a living tree. Like I planted a cherry tree last year to try to hold the substructure of our front yard together, because it's like at a slope, and it's like the soil's been eroding, and so it just made sense to put a tree out there to try and hold on to the soil. And it's just really cathartic work. Like I felt good going and the physical activity of digging and planting the tree, and just like feel like there's things that everyone should do. Like we should have like lifetime goals, right? Like it should be a lifetime competition of who can plant the most trees. Like I read about an article about I don't know, some tech millionaire or tech billionaire who wants to plant 6 trillion trees via drones, and I'm like, that'd be really cool. And I think that's something that needs to happen. I think it needs to be a societal thing where it's not just individuals, but entire groups and communities getting together once we can actually get within 6 feet of each other again, and planting trees. I'm really worried. The Amazonian rainforest stuff is really, I think, understated. I mean, just the amount. I mean, both in what happened in Australia and in Brazil, I think are make it a requirement to graduate. Again, I think so. And as much flack as they get at Green River, Green River's actually, even before I came here, was nationally known. And they're kind of known as this very liberal bastion, but they have a very practical application part of their curriculum where they make people go out into the communities and do things like that. Like planting trees could be a requirement for graduation. Like I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility, especially in worlds where many academicians are worried about many academicians are worried about what it means, what it means to the future of education. Sorry, just getting buzzes everywhere on my phone. What it means to the future of education for us in the world when we've moved online. Like, are we going to go back to traditional room style, brick and mortar style classes? Obviously, I think we have to, just for the social interaction, and the positivity that comes from having other students around. I've done a lot of online coursework, and it's not that it doesn't have some benefit, but it really, really is not sufficient enough to, I think, have a full college educational career. And so I think that, you just have, you have to, even if distance learning becomes more prolific going forward, if you had an initiative where it's like you just film yourself go out and planting trees, that should be the next internet challenge at a minimum. I agree with you, Skylar. And the biggest thing for me personally since graduating is like, it's definitely about making more connections than it is anything else, because college certainly didn't teach me how to really make money, right? Like I've still had to figure that out on my own. And so I think that practical applications need to be much more focused in academia. I just think that has to be true going forward as we reshape and reformat our society. But enough about that. Let's get some actual drinking going, because I know Skylar, that's what he's really here for. The Lagavulin distillery in the Isle of Islay, 1816. Products of Scotland. And single malt Scottish whiskey. It's really, really dark. It's pretty, from my recollection, busted open. It's got this really nice forest green, which matches my suit around the terrible accent. Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't actually trying to do the Scottish accent. It's a lot of the Scottish is you gotta spit a lot. It's like they add extra. I was watching a video on it. They add extra consonants, so it's like you have to add extra e's everywhere. I'm not good at it at all. I'm not even gonna try. It does come with the cork, which is pretty sweet. Makes it easy to preserve. Yeah, it's got a really rich, bitter taste to it. So for the whiskey aficionados out there, a couple ways that you drink it. Obviously, the better sniff that cork. It's not a wine. It's not wine, okay? It's not the same. You have to sniff the bottle. It has a really the best way I can say is really smoky flavor to it. You usually would have, like I said, you'd have a flute, not traditional tumbler glass, but I don't have one, so we're going with what I got. You can start with a little bit, and really enjoy the flavor. So the traditional way to drink actually at the distilleries is you just take a little bit of water. You can spoon it in or just pour it in, and you can have distilled water, but really any spring water will work. And yeah, it's I'm so in debt, Skylar, at this point. What's another $150? I mean, let's be honest. That's how it's traditionally drink is you just add a little bit of water and it opens it up. The thing about what makes this beautiful is there's really just no bite to it. I mean, that's some people, I don't know, some people really want that bite in their alcohol, but whiskey is already so powerful and dark and strong. It's really bold. It's really bold flavor. Deep oaky flavor. I mean, that's the benefit of the really aged whiskey, because I've had the 12 and the 12 is good. I mean, it's just geeking out on my whiskey here now. I'm definitely not someone that just because something is expensive, like I'm not someone who spends a lot of money on things. I don't own. I mean, you can see in my room. My room's pretty bland. I live a very, very Spartan lifestyle. I don't drink very often, so when I do, I like to splurge a little bit. Every now and again. That's why it's treat yourself. 2020. And so if you had to have the traditional Iris, no, price does not denote quality per se, but I also am a big fan of, I mean, just in my experience, you do get what you pay for in a lot of things, right? Like if you buy the cheap shit, you're going to get cheap shit, right? Like you buy something that's very cheap, poor quality. Planned obsolescence has definitely become a huge cornerstone of the American economy, which I think has problems. It allows for some innovation, but is intrinsically problematic in other aspects, especially from environmental aspects. So if you want to have just traditional drink, we just add a little bit of water. For me, this is really meant to be sipped, especially because one drink's like $20, $25. So you want to, if you want to enjoy it traditionally, that's totally fine. I usually, and I'm going to here in a second, commit sacrilege because that's how tech waste. Tech waste is one of those areas. You remember when we used to do like Africa research in college. They would literally just shipping containers and giant shipping containers sent to the Horn of Africa, and just because some of the tech waste is toxic, right? It has toxic chemicals, chromium. It has mercury poisoning can come from some of them. Very, very I mean, it's just you want to find a cause that's gonna make you freaking cry. Is look up tech waste in Africa. I haven't. Again, I'm not in the research like I used to be. It's one of the sad things about being, living the lifestyle that I have now, is I'm so focused on my martial arts and just keeping up as a lawyer, that I just don't have time internationally to do the kind of research that I did in college. Like, I'm just not doing extemp research anymore, so I'm not as plugged in. So I don't know what the current state is, but I can only imagine that it's still not a good scenario. Like I can't imagine that they've solved the tech waste problem in Africa in the last 5 years. I don't believe that that's true. If anything, it's probably gotten worse. Which is really unfortunate, because tech right now is the cornerstone of our economy, and it's even more important now than ever. So I'm hoping through the coronavirus, one of the things that we can do is just become better stewards of each other and better stewards of the planet. Even if you have environmental things that you don't necessarily agree with, we still have fundamentally a shared life and symbiotic relationship with each other. The world is too much to think about. Yeah, I definitely feel that many days. So now I'm going to commit sacrilege. I like to just take one large ice cube, fill up, and again, this is your life. Live it how you'd like. Fill it up halfway. Do it halfway up until the ice, and just let it sit for a while. Recork. And for me, for me, it's just a matter of it's just a matter of us having to just be better than we were before. I just think that we're going to have to make some serious adjustments to our lives going forward. And specifically, this just demonstrates the fragility of our economy right now. For everyone, there's just a lot of people that are going to be struggling here going in the future. And so I just hope that we can do whatever we can to make things better. That was really good. It's really strong. It the really kind of bitter, smooth taste afterwards. It's very, very smooth. It's very smooth after yeah, for sure. And it's so sad because like in my history, it's just like when my dad, right? My dad was a blue collar worker his entire life, worked very, very hard for many decades, and but he was never a member of any kind of union or trade work, or never had any protections in his job. So when things were good, he could get some work, and when things weren't good, he was unemployed a lot growing up. And people who are in unions tend to make about 13% more. They at least have some kind of work protection. Yeah. And people staying home has really shuttered the economy. And it's just sad that we've put so much focus on what a number is in the stock market to determine whether or not we have economic well-being. I think that's, whether you agree with him politically or not, one of the things that Andrew Yang focused on in his political campaign was dealing with, gross domestic product, even at the time, is a metric of over 100 years old and how we measure economic well-being. So it's just an antiquated tool that doesn't really tell us so much about the day-to-day lives of the 330 million Americans in the United States. Gross national product, GDP, or they even kind of retooled it in economics, calling it GNP, gross national product. But even the metrics are just qualitatively more based around efficiency of gains when it comes to manufacturing industries and major businesses. Their ability to produce has not positively correlated with wages. And again, if you look to all the economic data starting in the 1970s, it starts with automation, right? I mean, we have even if you control for international regulations, trade deals, things that have been moved overseas, part and parcel, it is robotics in the manufacturing, in just manufacturing efficiency in general, right? We produce more steel actually than we have in the past, but we do it with 1/10 of the labor force, which is great from innovation gains from the economy. I'm all in favor of pushing the country forward, but we don't have any social safety nets for people to make transitions after we have all this awesome economic gain from innovations. So it's just all about striking a balance. I mean, I think we've been out of balance for a long time, and we have to rebalance that equation through progressive taxes, investment in infrastructure, and having a stronger social safety net so we can survive in times like this better as Americans. I mean, it's not to say that as we as Americans can't come together, when so few have so much and so many go without. We in America need to take money from the top and move it around. It's my Bernie Sanders. It's not as good as my Trump. My Trump has gotten really good, so maybe I'll do that later. I really like to wait for the ice to melt a little bit because it gives you that added water to it. And I don't know, I like my whiskey cold. That's just it. I don't like chilling it because I don't like having it cold for an extended period of time. So when I'm drinking it, I really want it to be I really want it to be at room temperature when it starts and cool down with the ice. So I'm just sorry, I'm trying to Facebook and live stream at the same time. So Skylar, when are you going to apply to work at Amazon? Dan's still trying to get you a job at Amazon. Better than the Scottish. You like your liquor so cold that it gets thick. That's what she said. Also, that sounds disgusting. That doesn't. I don't know. I'm not in favor of that quite as much. Right after you start trucking with Raj and yeah, that'd be a good job. It's time to sell out, dude. Give in to your autonomous overlords. All right. The time is now. Well, what about starting a business, Skylar? Why don't you start your own business? Become an entrepreneur. Pretty content being in debt, where the rent is less than $800 a room. I'm sure you could live in my living room for less than $800. We have an outhouse that I can rent to you that you can do as an Airbnb. We can make it work, Skylar. Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is you just take acceptable risks, and but you have to be willing to do something that you can fail at. in order to be successful. Not that I'm the shining star of success. So maybe if I ever manage to, well, that's a different side story. But if you're making, $20 an hour working at Amazon, you'll be able to pay them back. What games have you been playing, Skylar? Like most recent? Dan decided to challenge me to play 2K basketball for some reason over and over again. He's been going crazy. That's how stir crazy we've gotten. Is he's actually been challenging me to basketball over and over again. Yeah, I haven't. Well, so my one of my friends, Greg, runs a old school emporium. So it's like a Sweet Girls Emporium, where it's like the retro emporium, where they have all the retro everything 80s and 90s and pretty much a nerd Nirvana, and they'll have like Rock Band on Fridays. Doing Minecraft. Yeah, I just never got into Minecraft. Borderlands. I did some played. Me and my buddy Randall played some Borderlands. Smash Bros. So I have my 3DS, but I haven't played much of it in a long time. They have a new Smash Bros, don't they? Didn't they make a new one for the Switch? I always wanted to play the that new Pokemon battle game. It's like kind of like Pokemon Stadium, but whatever the new one where you can battle each other. It's kind of like Tekken. I really wanted to play that one. Yeah, Ultimate. I haven't. I almost bought a Twitch years like when that was first coming out. I almost bought a Twitch just to play that freaking game. I wanted to play that one so bad, but I was just like, man, I already have a PlayStation 4, and it's just really, really hard. Pokken tournament, is that what it is? Or it has like hundreds of different ones, and you battle each other. Yeah, that was going to be the only reason that I got it. Like I was just like, man, I don't want to spend because it was when the Switches first came out. They were like, I told you I wanted to play Breath of the Wild too. I used to, so I was obviously as the youngest kid in the family when the original like 64 Zeldas came out. I hardly ever got to play because they're so engrossing and they take so much playtime that I used to just have to watch my brothers play because the systems were theirs growing up because they were both so much older than me. And that's why I don't know. I just feel like the Twitch generation is built off of younger siblings, like kids whose oldest brothers wouldn't let them play. Like people are like, man, what do you like watching that so much? And I mean, I kind of get it. Like I kind of, you can still have fun watching other people play video games. And you don't get it, one, it doesn't take you as much time, right? Because you can just tune in to the good parts. But I think that's kind of part of where that culture makes sense to me. That like, if you're asking me a why, like the raison d'etre, like why is it happening? That's what I would say. And so I think that's just why. Voltresante to health. That is à la vôtre. That is the French cheers à la vôtre. All right, I don't know about that one. I don't. It's a bit of a leap there, Skylar. I don't know why you're jumping right to that one. How inappropriate! How inappropriate that is. Something in a loch. In a loch. Marsha. Oh boy. Oh boy. Just for the lols. For the lols. There's dogs outside my window. That's what I get for living in a basement. Microsoft Advisor. Here's what you can do to maximize. Considered my hand at a startup. What are you starting up? What is your business problem? I'm taking an entrepreneur class through MIT's extended online course, which is way cheaper than what I paid for the course at Harvard. The Harvard course was pretty expensive and much more substantive, but it's just like this little court. Oh, you considered your hand at stand-up. Okay, I thought you said at a startup. Considered your hand at stand-up. Have you done any live stand-up yet? I would like to do some. The problem is the things that I would like to talk about probably aren't appropriate for people who are representatives of the legal system. So Cameron's been doing that a lot. That's really cool. I hope to see him someday. I do miss performing a lot, actually. That's one of the biggest things is that's not in my life anymore, other than all the world's being a stage. Is I really want to, especially now, having been inside so much. No, I didn't see that he just got a poem published, but I absolutely believe that. I don't know. I never realized one thing in forensics that it's just there are certain things that you can't simulate elsewhere, and definitely live performance is one thing that was just a large part of my life for a long time, like from high school, from 15 until 25. There was a lot of performance stuff that I did, and I just don't do that anymore, other than like appearing in court and for depositions and stuff. If you were to consider that some sort of performance or act, it's still not, like it's nothing involving a crowd. And so, maybe when this whole thing tampers out, I will try and incorporate some of that back into my life again. I'd like that at some point. But we'll see. We'll just see. This year I'm still training for the Abu Dhabi World Championship, and so hopefully that still happens and I get my opportunity to compete in that. Karaoke is a good outlet for that. Yeah, I'm not a big karaoke fan. I'm not. Mainly because karaoke happens almost exclusively in bars. I just don't go out to bars very often. So that's just it's not my scene. I drink twice a year, maybe on average. I might have some wine at home. And I don't even like wine. Like I'm not a big wine fan. I'm glad that I finished my fast. So I did a 3-day fast. Yeah, I just alcohol just inhibits so much. your physiological recovery. And dude, I went on, like, I won't say who with, but so I went on a date a long time ago, years and years ago, and this person was also in the legal profession, and she happens to consume a bit more alcohol than I do regularly, going out to bar events and stuff, because I just don't go out to those kind of events as often as I should. Because again, I'm usually on the mats training, and I felt terrible. Like, I just drank responsibly, like one should always do, drinking responsibly. But still, it just consumed a little too much, and was like, felt ill for several days. And I'm like, man, I don't recover. As you get older, now as I'm an old man, now that I'm over the hill, I don't recover like I once did. So I just don't do it as much. It doesn't make me feel good. And so, like, I do drink red wine. Red wine's supposed to help heart health. And so, yeah, it's practice. Well, I don't practice it anymore because I'm too busy running and doing cardio and trying to stay fit. Age has nothing to do with it. If you say so. I don't know, man. I definitely feel it more now than I guess I did when I was really, really young, in my early 20s. So it's also, yeah, it's consistency, not in a good way. So I don't know. I just don't do it. Living my best life. That's right. And again, it's not like what I do is almost sadomasochistic, right? Like, I get beat up every day by people who are just granimals, just the toughest guys that you'll know. And so it's not for everyone. But you got to do, if there's anything that I learned over the years for myself, it's just about appreciating more the journey than it is about, again, as cliche as that is, the journey is more important than the destination. Like, achieving a goal isn't nearly as much as appreciating your moment in time and trying to achieve that goal. And so I think that's, if there is an aspect of life that I would preach, is being more appreciative about understanding where you're at in the process, and just trying to seek out the things that you care most about and enjoying that process. So, I enjoyed, as much of it was difficult to do at times, I enjoyed my process and going through school, and was happy to achieve that goal, and look forward to setting new goals and achieving those as well. But it's like my jiu-jitsu journey has really taught me that you just have to appreciate the fun along the way, and if you're not having fun, you should do things differently. Yeah, I mean, I just think that sometimes people are afraid to take control of their life because they feel like so many things are out of their control. And I'm like, number one, like, it happens to me all the time, expanding my business, and everything starts shutting down, and focusing on trying to do my jiu-jitsu stuff and just being completely unable to do that. Is it's difficult for everyone, but I just think that you have to take charge of everything that you can, and every day try and do what makes you happy. And I didn't do that for a long time. I just was working so much, and I was focused on so many things that you just you just lose track of how much attention you're paying to how fleeting life is, because it's easy to just get into a routine and do that over and over and over again. And if that routine isn't working towards an ultimate goal, I mean, you can waste a lot of time in your life just kind of passing you by. So, you got to stop and do enjoy the little things, like a really overexpensive Lagavulin 16. À la vote. À la vote. To your health. Oh, sounds like Dan's making a protein shake. Dan went on his bike ride. Dan also decided to do the fast, though he didn't do it nearly as long. And let's just say that went about how you would imagine. Dan does not fast well, but he did do it. So kudos to him. I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. That's been a big key in my geeks and gains journey. Is I don't know, it just works well for me. I feel better when I do intermittent fasting, like feast and famine style. Um, I try to bat about 800 and just stick with it. Yeah, I just posted my latest video from my fast on my Instagram on Dro Fitness. I think Skylar, you already follow me there, probably. Um, dude, it's fucking doable. I know it seems like a lot, but have I sent you? I've probably sent you it a dozen times. I show everyone, send it to everyone. But like, that's the biggest thing that David Goggins has imparted onto me is that. I mean, it's just like the mental roadblocks that we put on ourselves are huge on all aspects of our life. So if you really want to expand those horizons, I mean, he lost 106 pounds in 3 months. And so I'm not saying that you have to lose weight that rapidly, and that's not healthy for many people, but you can fucking do it, man. It's not unachievable. It's just start, consistency. It is all about fucking consistency. Once you start, it'll become easier and easier. So you want to just get after it and start trying to you sent me Cameron's thing. Once you start getting it as incorporated as part of your life, it just becomes a habit, and you just keep with it, and it'll happen for you, man. If you ever want any suggestions or tips or anything, I can, I'm here to help. The first thing you have to do is find something that you enjoy doing that's really physical, right? Whether it's running, biking, I'm 100%. If you're going to try and go serious about weight loss, you need to lift weights, even if it's just high volume, and finding something fun to do. That's really cool that he made it into the art issue. Gary V started a live video. Gary V is pretty cool. I like his content. It's really funny watching people call into Gary V because they ask like the same questions over and over again. He's like, "So what are you doing? Are you posting 3 times a day on Instagram?" It's like, come on, guys. You should already know what he's going to offer. It's like you need to be doing what he's saying already before you call in and ask for his help. I started my, funny enough, I started my fitness journey just by, I bought like the most basic at-home stuff for like the insanity workout. So I just started doing that, and I sucked so bad. I sucked so bad when I started working out for first. Many would say that I still suck. So whatever, I try at least. But I just think that I still hate running. I don't like long monotonous cardio. So insanity's like 30 to 45 minutes, just busting out a workout. Pretty challenging. It's going to beat you up every time. That's how I started. But really, it's just, you can start anywhere. You can only ever do your best. That's right. And that's the thing too. I read a really good article, or not article, a book. I finally got through reading Atomic Habits, and that's what it talks about, right? Being 1% better every day. And if you can just make those incremental gains, it's super, super beneficial. You'll be surprised how far you'll actually make it. It's really rich. Almost out of ice. So add a little bit more. What do you think of this bottle? Islal. 1816. It's not overly ornate. Kompai. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Just a little bit more. Very fancy and old school. It's really good. So I'm really a big fan of the Lagavulin Japanese cheers. Kompai. Okay. A la volte. It's French for to your health. Skylar, you should do jiu-jitsu. You can learn to choke people out for real. It'll be nice. Kanpai. Oh, that makes sense. Whew. And that stuff is super powerful, super dark and rich. And I love it for the aftertaste. It is strong, but it's not like a terrible bite. Like it doesn't have a sting like really cheap, crappy stuff does. Yo, Eric, what up, man? You were a sushi chef for 6 months in Kansas. I mean, does it count being a sushi chef in Kansas? Sushi chef in Kansas. Sushi chef in Kansas. It's a bit of a tongue twister. Like what I'm drinking. Eric, it's going pretty good, man. Just hanging out. Yeah, it's very difficult. Sushi chef in Kansas. Sushi chef in Kansas. Sushi chef in Kansas. Sushi chef in Kansas. Very difficult. Got mad knife skills. You can clean motherfucking fish. Motherfucking gay fish. I'm just doing a review, Eric, since you just joined the feed, on Lagavulin 16. Very expensive. Very delicious. Very rich and bold flavor. Eric, my buddy Skylar, Eric. I've known Eric since I was like 13 years old. Like fish sticks. What are you, a gay fish? So yeah, just trying to get through these fun and fantastic times. I need to get a new chair, that's for sure. The chair that I have is not very comfortable. So measures all mine. I think you mean pleasures. Lagavulin pairs really well with steak. So for anyone who's a steak fan, that's something that I would recommend. Everyone's wishing me a happy birthday. Super happy about that. The great news is that I literally feel the best I've ever felt. Like I'm in better shape and my injuries are abating because I'm not doing as much jiu-jitsu. Even though I'm still trying to get everything in that I possibly can. Just Ron Swanson. Get yourself a proper dog. Anything under 50 pounds is a cat, and cats are pointless. Ron Swanson. Yeah, I actually, interestingly enough, so my roommate and I, Dan, made a wager on the new Star Trek Picard. I don't know if anybody watched the new series. Probably not. It's really good. It's on CBS All Access. To get a little plug, they're not paying me for that, of course, but I have not been a big fan of Star Trek Discovery, which was the latest season that had come out, and so I need to stop touching my face. Right, I wash my hands, guys. I promise. I washed my hands before this, so I'm enacting good social distancing, and really everything in my house has really been sprayed down with Lysol. So yeah, I hated Discovery. I hated Star Trek Discovery. As here's what I always said: I thought it was good television. I thought it was terrible Star Trek. I watch a lot of Star Trek because this is the Geek and Gains channel, and I totally geek out over Star Trek. and it wasn't episodic. It messed with the timeline entirely too much. It dealt with a lot of stuff that wasn't that I just didn't think was really true to the heart of Star Trek. It didn't make a lot of sense in continuity. So yeah, I like DS9. I liked Voyager. I hated Star Trek Enterprise, but I really liked Picard. I thought Picard was really, for what it was, I thought it was really well done. It was a little labored at the beginning, like, we're going to need a crew. And they spend like 6 episodes putting that together. And so that becomes a little tedious, but I thought the ending was amazing. And I won't give any spoilers here, but I thought it was really good. And anyway, me and Dan made a wager on whether or not Q was going to be, for those aficionados, that whether or not Q was going to be in Star Trek Picard. I made a wager that he was going to be in, and he was not in the first season. So Dan owes me a trip to Texas de Brazil, the Brazilian steakhouse, where I usually eat my whole body weight in meat in one sitting. My take on the Orville, man, people have really liked that show, and it has its ups and downs. I watched the first 2 seasons of it, so I didn't hate it. Some of it, I think the Orville is just hits you over the head too many times, and some of the jokes and some of the premises, they revisit a lot of premises, and I thought the second season was a lot better. There's just some things where it's just like you see the political angle that they're trying to take, and I think the great thing about the original, especially Star Trek Next Gen, is Star Trek Next Gen deals with a lot of moral issues, but doesn't necessarily incorporate just the contemporary political talking points into an issue, which I think is what the Orville did. Like, the Orville took very specific political issues, like point by point, and try to incorporate them into an episode, as opposed to just dealing with morality generally. So, like, case in point, in Star Trek, you have, one of my favorite episodes actually deals with Lwaxana Troi, who's played by Gene Roddenberry's wife, and they deal with the ritualistic killings of anyone who gets over the age of 60. It's one of their big kind of moral questions about whether or not you should have, what the burden should be for caring for our elderly, and cultural relativism as it comes from our set of ethics measured by someone else's. And so, like, that's the kind of thing where they touched on a lot of moral issues, but they weren't like, this is the current political question that we're answering, 500 years in the future. So I think that's one of the criticisms that I have of the Orville, is like, they're very specific to our time. And it's like, I just feel like in the future, they deal with things differently with a different moral compass. And so you don't really see that. It's hard to say, like, what your evaluation of The Simpsons is. Like, are we talking the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons, the last 10 seasons of The Simpsons? There's such a body of work, because The Simpsons shifted like that too, right? Like, they went from general comedy from an animation, talking about, I think, general societal issues, to doing what South Park does and taking, like, this week we're parodying something that's happening right now. And so, the Simpsons have definitely had to change formulas over the years, just because they've been around for so freaking long. And I think that they've gone the way of, not that it's necessarily bad, I just think that it doesn't make sense in a futuristic show for them to emulate South Park in that. Yeah, and I think it vasts so much. I think that the moral compass is so much different, 400 years in the future, that even us trying to hypothecate about it is difficult. I think it becomes a difficult challenge. At least we would hope, right? I mean, if we still see exponential growth in certain areas like information technology, and let's say that, I don't know if you guys follow what happens at, like, the Neuralink stuff that's going on with Elon Musk, like, where they're literally trying to increase the bandwidth efficiency of the interface of the human brain with technology, to being able to vis-a-vis being able to directly input information, go to Wikipedia and input information directly into the brain. Whether or not that ever actually happens, or to what extent that happens, if it suffers from, I don't want to say suffers from, if it sees the same feature of what we know as Moore's law, like the increasing of the doubling in size of the efficiency, or making smaller transistors, doubling their capacity essentially every 18 months. Whether or not that would be applicable to our future interfaces with information, I think that would be really interesting to see how that works out. People are all over my Facebook feed. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I think, you know, I don't know. The future of comedy it'll be interesting to see what happens. Of course, we would all like to go back to the way things were right away, but I think from a general perspective, it's going to take a lot of time. I certainly would like to go and compete in June. I have plans to do the World's Tournament, but it's hard to say that that's going to happen right now. But it's also, I mean, it's just as a pragmatist, it's hard for me to believe that they're going to have Texas shut down. I like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It took me a long time. I never watched it for years. I mean, I didn't watch it until they had already been right before they got canceled and then moved, right? They got canceled. Who did they get picked up by? CBS, or did they get picked up by Fox? I forget who they got picked up by. Jamie, will you pull that up? I guess I'll be my own Jamie. Who currently owns Brooklyn? Yeah, so NBC acquired Brooklyn Nine-Nine after CBS cut it. And yeah. I think that one of the things for Brooklyn Nine-Nine is I binged it all the way through, and so I haven't watched the latest season much. So I think that, I thought the latest season was good. For me, Brooklyn Nine-Nine is suffering from what a lot of, especially sitcoms, suffer from, is I think that the kind of like with the Big Bang Theory, like I actually liked the Big Bang Theory all the way through the first 4 or 5 seasons, and then it's just like some premises just last too long. So I'm worried that I thought Brooklyn Nine-Nine remained funny, but I'm just worried that the premise is going to be played out, and there's only so many permutations with a limited number of characters before they have to expand so much that I don't know. It just become the premise is just hard to sustain year in and year out with high quality. So that's what I worry about with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I've liked it. It's I wouldn't recommend binging all 5 seasons in a row. For me, it's one that you should watch in small doses, just because I think you can get burned out on it. Yeah, I think that's a great. And so I think it's just like a lot of shit. Like it's kind of like with Dexter, man. I really liked Dexter, and then the 5th season was just terrible, and the 6th season didn't get better, and then I never finished it. So I think that there's just, I think it's also, I just have to moderate my viewing habits. Like, just as part of my personality, kind of all or nothing, right? Like I just, once I start something, I'm a completist. So I want to finish it, and I want to finish it quickly. And so that can also zap some of the fun out of it. Yeah, I did that with Game of Thrones. Like I never watched Game of Thrones ever. I never watched Game of Thrones. And then I started watching right before the last season came out. And then I watched it all the way through. Yeah, and I watched it all the way up until the last season. I don't like watching seasons season by seasons. I hate waiting, so I just wait until it's all over with and then watch it all at once. Which is also not necessarily a good thing. So I tried doing that differently with Game of Thrones. I mean, I thought up until the last 2 episodes, it could have ended well. I really just feel like up until the, again, spoiler alerts here, up until the killing of the White Walker King, I thought like the show had infinite potential. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I never had HBO. I just never had, for so long, I just didn't have access to HBO. And HBO Go has only recently become, more accessible and affordable. And so I just never, ever got into it. And then I had HBO Go, and it was like Christmas. I mean, I think to me, it definitely, people are like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. So it never really had that effect for me, but I thought it was good. I mean, I liked most of Game of Thrones. But I felt like part of it, part of it is, I'm going to ignore that comment, subject to client confidentiality. I think it's just the final book was never written, so the writers had to take a lot of liberties with where they were going to go with a pre-envisioned narrative that doesn't have the complete ending available for them to play off of. So I also haven't read the books, so I don't know. I cannot compare and contrast the two. But I felt like most people disagreed with a lot of the creative choices. I mean, I think most of it, especially, just had to do with how they developed and didn't really implement the Bran character to make him the king at the end. And the biggest criticism that I had with Bran is why, after all of this time building up an army of the undead, would the White Walker King suddenly out himself, come out and expose himself into this battle area to kill Bran when he hadn't exposed any real threat? Like he didn't use some super tree man witch power in order to threaten the White Walkers, right? Like, okay, he can see them coming with crows. So what? Like, I didn't get why he would make that kind of calculated decision to put himself at risk without further explanation. Just didn't make any sense to me. So I think things started to really, really unwind at that point in my mind. Sorry. My jiu-jitsu friends are wishing that they could smother me. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, see, again, it goes back to, I mean, did he though? Did he really? I mean, he was the strategist behind the scenes. What good strategy had they implemented up until that point that was in any way effective? Yeah, okay. I mean, I guess so, but they were devastated at every battle. Like they were being annihilated. Like it's not like they'd been dealt swift blows from the north. Like there's such disarray that if he doesn't expose themselves, they're wiping everyone out in the north, and pretty much going to own the land. So I don't know. The cost benefit analysis just never made sense to me based on how they portrayed him, right? Like his intel never did them any good. What was, like, name one instance where the White Walkers were in any way meaningfully challenged by his intel? I don't know. Starting there, if you're asking me, Yeah, okay, the time travel stuff, but that's again, that never tells us anything. Like it never comes to fruition as to like what is like they never have proof in the pudding as to what his actual powers are going to accomplish in the war. Like ever. Like they're getting their butts kicked. Yeah, I mean I agree, but so that goes back to to Eric's comment about the Gandalf thing though. But like in the game, at least in the like Cimmerillion and in the writings of Tolkien, like there's textual support as to why the Eagles didn't get involved, right? Like there's at least a backstory as to I know why like what their neutrality is based off of. Whether I agree with it or not, um, there's at least some justification as to what's going on there. But here I just never got it. I just never got. I mean, they're so clearly winning the battle. They already have a dragon. Could have gotten another dragon if they had taken over the one that was in the north. I mean, two. I mean, if they killed both of them. I don't know. And then his knights that are with him never do anything substantial. So like they follow him everywhere, and they have this the Cimmerillion is going to be a movie. That seems challenging. Very, very challenging. We'll see if that actually happens. Thank you, Lagavulin. This video not brought to you by any sponsorship of Lagavulin. I just really like it. So I'm only about pushing things that I really, really like. So if you ever want to taste God's ambrosia, Lagavulin. Lagavulin. The Lagavulin. So, I think I really like The Witcher. I thought it was really good. Again, spoiler alerts for anyone who hasn't watched The Witcher. It starts in Medias Rex, which is a yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I thought it was also exactly what Skylar said. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't mean that they'll try. It's a I don't think I've read the Cimmerillion all the way through. I definitely have skimmed it. I have my copy of Lord of the Rings somewhere close by. It is really within reach. Well, hi, dog. Just let yourself in. Come on in. Hi. Hey, baby. My dog's really good about letting herself in. Really? It took you 4 episodes? Yeah. Medias Rex. Starting in the middle. It's a sorry, it's too loud, too close to the microphone. My bad. I apologize. Hello. Yeah, she's chilling out down there on my carpet. I have this really nice fuzzy carpet that she likes to hang out on. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think that Hollywood isn't above the cash grab of the Cimmerillion, so they'll try and make something out of nothing. So that doesn't surprise me at all. I think that it's interesting to see where they're going to go with The Witcher. I really liked toss a coin to your Witcher, oh Valley of Plenty. I figured it out pretty quick that they were starting in the middle. I mean, I also just know how the Witcher story is, so you definitely can't start to finish. Plus they have 12 years of side quests that they can definitely do, so that show's gonna go on. Oh, toss a coin to your Witcher, oh Valley of Plenty, oh Valley of Plenty, oh. It's so catchy. Such a well put together score for that show, if nothing else. So yeah, I liked it. I think that it was really well done. It's definitely my I didn't play all 3 games. I've played Witcher 3 a little bit. It's really awesome. Graphics wise, so but I just haven't invested any real time into it. I haven't invested any time into really any games. Played a little bit of Jedi Order, and then I play StarCraft when I can. A little bit of League of Legends, but except when Dan tries to challenge me to sports games. He also officially has given up on playing Madden 19 with me. I am looking forward to a new season of. Yeah, I'm sure you can waste a lot of time in those. It's kind of like Elder Scrolls. Dude, when I was a kid, like 12, 13, playing Morrowind, I put so many, like, hundreds and hundreds of hours into Elder Scrolls. So I've avoided very much so, like, Oblivion. And I mean, I've played a little bit of Elder Scrolls over the years, but I've really, really avoided getting sucked into one of those because I'm just afraid I won't come back. And I'll be in it forever. I've been working on trying to do my Duolingo French lessons, so that's something that I've taken up. Yeah, I do have a Twitch account, Drojitsu, but I'm not on it very much anymore. I wish I could make money doing that. That'd be super sweet. Gonna be a vlogger. That's what I should have been investing my time in the last 10 years as opposed to going to college, just trying to become a YouTube famous. Maybe I can review Lagavulin for a living. There are people that do that. There are people that have like 20,000 views on reviews of their whiskey. I work out too much. No such thing as working out too much. How dare you? How dare you say that? How dare you, sir? No, it's a big aspect of my life. I would like to do what Lachlan Giles has done. He's one of my, if anyone who does or ever is interested in doing jiu-jitsu, Lachlan Giles should probably be one of your heroes because he was an 80cc absolute weight finalist. He bronzed. It's pretty much like bronzing at the Olympics. And he went against people who were 100 plus pounds more than him and submitted them, with the expert techniques and his scientific understanding of the human body. So it's pretty awesome to watch. And now he travels the world giving seminars internationally, or he did until the world shut down. So we'll see what happens afterwards. But I enjoy training, I enjoy instructing and teaching and coaching, all very fulfilling things that I'm glad I've incorporated into my life. So, it doesn't pay as much as being an attorney, and I hope to be debt free someday sooner rather than later. But sometimes you just got to make priorities on things that make you happy as opposed to the ultimate dollar bill. Though I hope to be able to return to some semblance of normalcy in work sometime soon. But you get in where you can. Wear a suit when I have to. Dope. Jorge Masvidal spilled a drink. Oh no, Skylar. How could you? How could you? How could you do that? I finished off my ice. The Lagavulin. You really taste the oak. Like, I know I've said that before. Loch water. Crushing over rocky falls, barley, and malted over moorland peat. slow distillation, and long maturation in oak casks all help to shape Lagavulin's robust and smoky character. Time, say the islanders, takes the fire but leaves in the warmth. That's really cool. Takes the fire but leaves in the warmth. I really like that. It's a really rich and bold taste. And that's what I really like about it most. So trying to adjust my camera a little bit. The higher seat. I feel like I'm like way too low. You see my oak desk. La vote. To your health. Hold up. Gotta make a drink. Come on, Skylar. What are you doing? What are you drinking, Skylar? Love the suit. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It's actually a pretty cheap suit. It's all about accessorizing, making sure your accessories are all right. No, the best thing about what you need to do. So my tips on suit shopping on a budget. Number one, get to a healthy weight that you know is going to be stable, so you know your suits are going to continue to fit. There's also another motivation as part of my fitness journey is I can't afford new suits all the time, so you want to be able to have a good waistline under control so you can wear your suits for long periods of time. Tip number one on saving money on suits is stay fit, stay active, so you don't have to buy new suits all the time. Number two is try gut rot whiskey and Dr. Pepper. Oh, man, really? You're putting gut rot whiskey in Dr. Pepper? Okay. Number two is take the time to get one really, really expensive personally tailored suit so you know exactly what your measurements are. Have them tell you what your measurements are. And yeah, it's potable. And that way you can buy, like I buy a lot of discount suits, know what style you like. I like slim fit suits. I'm a big fan. Most of my suits are Calvin Klein slim fit, which is just the cut that I really like. And it's about knowing what your exact measurements are. So like 38 regular, 38 long, 32 at the waist. So it's about knowing what your measurements are, and so you can buy online and test it out and get a good tailor and get it hemmed and well, dude, you gotta get back on the freaking log. That's how it works. And so you know that's if you know what your measurements are, you can buy mediocre priced suits. I don't want to say that they're mediocre suits, but they're still you know, you can get a slim fit suit. I mean, this suit was not expensive, and I really like it too. And so that's part of it. All right, I have a little bit more. Haven't had very much, honestly. That's what I've had over the last hour, and it was only up to like here. Drink. Yeah, Skylar, I'm definitely not trying to get inebriated. Just trying to enjoy a nice little drink. You know, sometimes we just gotta drink in America, okay? 2 drinks, 3 drinks, I don't know. Some of the drinks, all of the drinks. You know, here we go. Got 3 suits. I got all my suits right here. I had to build like one of those stand-up closets because I needed a place to hang all my suits, and that closet behind me is not very big, sadly. We have the best drinks. You know, Scotch whiskey. Maybe it's made in Scotland. Maybe it's made here. I don't know. You have to ask them. Okay? Okay? My Trump's going to be really good. For when we have 4 more years of Trump now, because they elected Joe Biden as the Democratic National Committee representative, it's going to be great. It's going to be the best. It's going to be great. I have to say, where are we going? I don't know. 4 more years, maybe I'll stay another one. We just change the Constitution. I can do that because I'm president. It's just we're here. We're going to China. We're gonna go to China, and we're gonna fix the problem. I don't even really like Cheetos. Okay, I like to think more of myself as an orange plantain, maybe a sweet potato. I don't know. No, it's pronounced China. Alec Baldwin does that joke so much, though. It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful taste. I really like China. I call it the China flu because it came from China. That was just Donald Trump is going to, as the kids say, dunk on Joe Biden. Joe Biden has no chance. I think both from a historical and epistemological standpoint, like people who are truth seekers are not going to turn to Joe Biden for their truth. Whether or not you believe anything that Trump says, at least people on the right see him as speaking his mind. And Joe Biden is just, historically, he has no ethos. Well, one, I disagree with the characterization of Bernie Bros even being a measurable subsector of the progressive left. I think there's legitimate people in the progressive left who are not going to be voting for Joe Biden for substantiated reasons. Historically, if you look to Joe Biden had, as someone who went to law school, I cannot put too fine of a point on, even early on in his legal career in the 1970s, Joe Biden was accused of plagiarism. He plagiarized at least 1/3 again, you can check the records. Google it, check it out. You'll see. I'm not just making it up. Anybody can see. All right, it's everywhere. So people say, I'm saying, people say. But specifically Joe Biden has had ethical issues when it comes to his legal career. There's a dog outside my window barking at me because he's an asshole. And like Joe Biden, he plagiarized a speech in his law review, which most people would have gotten expelled over. He's plagiarized stump speeches. He literally campaigned and whipped against utilizing federal buses and federal monies to desegregate schools via buses during the civil rights era. That's part of his record. So, I don't know. People are like, he has a long record in civil rights. Yeah, dating all the way back to the civil rights era, where he campaigned and ran a co-campaign with other individuals to specifically prevent federal funds from going towards desegregating schools via buses. Like, if you just look for someone for a moral and ethical ethos over the course of a 40-year career, his just doesn't hold up. The Obama administration, every time they bring it up, the Obama administration had more deportations than the Trump administration. And he just says, oh, well, that was Obama. So, but every time they bring him a criticism, oh, that was Obama, I'm not Obama. But you were the vice president. You had a platform of moral authority where you could have been advocating and speaking directly to the president to try and shape and change policies in the United States, and he didn't necessarily do that. Furthermore, specifically with just the problems with Joe Biden that have come out even in the last several weeks, I think that many key people in his political campaign and that are working in his current political cabinet, informal, not his actual formal political cabinet, people he'll be electing, but I just use that colloquially as the common man term of who is helping run and orchestrate and keep him together, is people are going through and deleting tweets from the previous Kavanaugh arguments, talking about how Kavanaugh should be disqualified because of the rise and allegations for sexual misconduct. And then Joe Biden has the same thing, and then they go through and try and delete their tweets. That's why the political left just have no moral ethos. even if you're just looking to like at, at them being real centrists, I mean, I think you have Republican light coming out of the centrists of the Democratic Party. So I think Joe Biden has been very adamant that the status quo is still going to be maintained in major pharmaceuticals, in the healthcare industry, in the major lobbying industries that have the full force in Washington are still kowtowing to the same political interests, same political monies, and I just don't think there's any moral efficacy as to why I would be motivated to be excited about trying to elect Joe Biden as president. I mean, I just think that that's notwithstanding any cognitive issues he may or may not have. I think that's a legitimate concern and not an ageist concern. I think there becomes a point where you have to call a spade, and when someone has difficulty completing sentences and is going to run for the highest office in the entire free world, there are just certain prerequisites that you have to have for someone to hold that office. And so I just think that, as they say, Donald Trump is going to dunk all over Joe Biden. That's my hot take. And, the Democrats have to deal with that fact. So, I don't know where we're going to go. I don't know where we go under 4 more years. 4 more years, unless I want to do more. Maybe I'll do more, maybe I'll do less. Who knows? Who knows? Orange face. Get some Cheetos. Just put some dust on. So, Donald Trump will probably be president for another 4 years. And, yeah, I mean, I think that's just it being, especially here in Washington, it's been very frustrating seeing the local governments, the governor, just not being able to play the proper political games, right? Like, I get it that you don't really want to pay any homage to this administration, but if sucking up to Donald Trump on a political platform publicly will get you 10,000 more ventilators, and you need 10,000 more ventilators, I think you have to play ball. You sign up to be a politician, not necessarily to be liked by everyone, but to do everything that's in their best interest to serve the public good. And I think that includes cooperating with the current administrations and federal administrations, whether or not you agree with them politically on any stance whatsoever. You still have to do what's best of your local constituency, and sometimes that means coordinating with the federal government. And so people need to just buckle up and do their job sometimes. And it's really frustrating as someone here in Washington that knows people are in need, that our political leadership oftentimes fails us, and you need people of courage and strength, and people who are willing to swallow their own egos. And so, just because he can't get a political win out of this doesn't mean that, like our Governor Jay Inslee, can't take affirmative steps to coordinate with the federal government. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I get it. Did we lose Skylar? Skylar, you dead, man? Where'd you go, brother? My dog is crying. Sorry, trying to answer legal questions. Skylar, did you watch the new Star Wars movie? I can hear my dog crying. She wants to go out and play with the other dogs. She's such a pain, dude. She'll be like, I want to go outside. I want to go outside. As soon as we let her outside, she'll come right back. She'll come right back to the window and be like, let me come back in. You haven't watched the new Star Wars, Skylar? That's sad. I liked it. The Rise of Skywalker. You saw it? I liked it. I won't talk about it because it's on Uh, it's on Plus. I think it's out on Plus. I actually bought it early on Vudu because I wanted to get the bonus content early. So, um, yeah, it might be on Disney Plus. It should be. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. You probably I don't know if you watched my Snapchat story on it, but me and my brother went and did the 24-hour marathon at Christmas, so that was pretty sweet. It was tough, but actually it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Like I thought it was going to be worse, but we blew up these we had like these plastic like you just regularly blow into them, and they fill up, and we use them as our footrests. So we had like the open space on our area right in front of us because we were in that front. We were like in that front row before where the first three rows are. Yeah, so we watched all 25 hours straight of Star Wars. It's pretty sweet. It's actually the first time I had seen the original episodes 6, 7, and episodes 4, 5, and 6 in the theater. So I'd never seen like A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi in theater. So that was really cool. Yeah, I liked it. I don't know what people were expecting based on what happened with The Last Jedi. I thought it was well done. I actually liked Rian Johnson's interpretation for The Last Jedi. I was not a big hater of it. It's worth watching, Skylar. I'd like to see you watch it and see. Hello, my brother's yelling at me because I didn't answer his phone call. I wasn't available earlier. I'll call him back shortly. JJ had to fix all of Rain's problems. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. I don't know. I thought there's definitely some issues with discontinuity there because JJ wasn't expecting to come back. So I think Rian Johnson was probably setting up other aspects of the movie. So I agree with what you're talking about, but I don't know. I just felt like the continuity still worked out. I felt like it's still. Yeah, I mean, okay, but Star Wars has always had plot holes. So, I think that's a criticism you can make in all of them, writing from episode to episode. And I mean, I also just think that there's time limits, right? I mean, I think in my mind, the biggest issue was, all right, Skylar, I'll see you later. I'm probably gonna get off here in a second because I'm gonna call my brother back, so he's not too upset about me not calling him. So I just think that the Rise of Skywalker, I really enjoyed it. I think my criticism of The Last Jedi just had to do. There's just ultimately there ended up being not a lot of weight or necessity to the casino scenes. So I think that was one of the biggest issues was that people were frustrated with is that they spent a lot of time in the middle of the movie that they could have saved focusing on other aspects of the actual main plot line. So there's definitely fair criticisms out there. I'm not saying that they're perfect movies, but I generally enjoyed them. Call my brother back. All right, man, I'm gonna get off here. Thanks for stopping by. I've been on for an hour and a half, so I'm gonna call my brother back so he's not too upset with me. Thanks for stopping by, guys. Hope everyone's staying well and healthy in their quarantine. So be safe, be healthy. Thanks to everyone out there who's working on the front lines. Thanks for stopping by and listening to our ramblings about whiskey and science fiction. Eric, I'll see you around, man. Let me know if you're ever back in town. We'll go and get burritos again. Take it easy, guys.